just through this webinar how easy it is to do. There's a lot of different things you can do here. I mean, you can basically go through this website on your own time. I don't need to really explore it. I kind of want to get to the live demo, but yeah, you can kind of just explore this on your own time. The core library is the one that comes free with AccuPOSE. Okay, it's a free tool with the core library. Okay, there's a lot of cool stuff, and I'll just be using the core library in today's webinar. I won't be using anything else. Well, actually, in the very final demo, I'll be using a parkour one, which is pretty cool. All right, and infinite expansion gives you basically access to all of the different what are called training models. So AI training models, we call them, and you'll see those in just a moment as I go through the live demo. But there's tons, and they're always being added. So there's a library of them already, and we're going to be adding on to them as well. They're really cool, and I'll show you them in just a moment here. A bunch of marketing stuff here, but yeah, I think we're all done with that. If you have any questions about the website, feel free to put them in the Q&A, the Q&A panel in Zoom there, and we'll answer those at the end of today's webinar. So let's get started on the basics of AccuPOSE. I think we'll just start the live demo now, unless anyone has any objections. So basically, AccuPOSE, you can access it a couple of ways. You can access it from the plugins, AccuPOSE up here. You can access it. Basically, it comes on the toolbar as well. I just basically use the toolbar, to be honest, most of the time. You can also access it from the motion or animation tab there. Get my face out of the way. Okay, so AccuPOSE is also here in the animation tab, but generally I just like to keep it handy on the toolbar here. Okay, so once you open up AccuPOSE, we'll go over to the pose presets. There's two main things. There's the pose presets and the control panel. Okay, pose presets contains, you can see here all the training models I mentioned earlier. The one we're going to be dealing the most with today is the core one. So this is the free one that comes with AccuPOSE. And you can see there's a lot of poses here already done. And these are basically preset poses, and they contain various control point settings. And we'll talk about control points in just a moment. But basically, all you need to do is just apply these. If you want to pose, just go ahead and apply it, like cross hands. Okay, it looks like a soccer player waiting for a penalty kick. Sit with hands on lap. All right, so you can basically just apply any of these with a single click. That's not really cool. I guess it's kind of cool, but there's sitting, there's kneeling, all sorts of various ones. You can crawl, and this guy basically had too much to drink or something, or he's exhausted from too much homework. That's the prone one. There's also a basic walk. And we'll talk about the walk cycle. That's the first thing we'll talk about after I go through the basics, because I think, a lot of people, are interested in walk cycles. And I think there's a lot to learn there. Okay, so a lot of lie dehydration or daydream. I thought it was dehydration. All right, this is the daydreaming one. Okay, cool. So there's a whole bunch of poses you can apply there. And, there's control points. We'll just go through this really quickly, and I'll explain it more in detail in a bit here. So if I'm lying down, I can maybe click on my control point on the chest there, and I can bring it up. I can have my, this is kind of not a good example, but maybe have our character rotate at the hip. So W and E are the rotation, and that's an even worse example. Let's have it where we're standing up. Okay, I'll explain the control points before we move on to the showing how you modify the various poses. So this basic stand one, okay? So these are all the poses, and there's a number of different ones here, like an action adventure. I didn't show those. Combat. So these are the ones with AccuPOSE Infinite. Okay, you see like dance ones. So there's like greased lightning. All kinds of different dance ones. And again, these are all going to be added on to later. So you can have fun exploring those on your own time. But I'm going to show you the basics of the control points before we get started here. So I'm going to go back to the basic stand pose here. And in the basic stand pose, let's go over to the control panel and take a look at this. Now, hopefully you can see this. It's big enough for you guys to see. It doesn't really resize the screen there, but let's just bring that back down. Whatever. Okay. So there's the control points here. Those are the little green and whatever circles on your character's various body joints here. One thing you'll notice is when I click on like the hip, for example, you can see on the top left here, On the left of the screen, left of the dummy here, these are all the control point presets. Okay, so these are control points. On the right, those are locks, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. The control points are what we're dealing with right now. And you can see there's a rotation and translation control point. These are active. Now, if these are active, that means that you are totally in control of that control point. Okay, it's not going to move. It's not going to be modified unless you specifically do it. Okay. Whereas if these other parts like the head and the chest, for example, you can see they're blank. Like if I click on the elbow here, these are not active. And that means that it's going to be interpreted by AI. So AI is going to basically look at how you're moving the hip, and it's going to determine how the rest of the body moves. Hopefully that's clear, but I'll show you an example. So let's do it. Let's do a couple of examples here. This is in the getting started tutorial as well if you want to check that out, but I'll show it to you really briefly here. Whoops, let's get out of this really quick. I'm going to make a couple of copies of this dude by holding the control key and clicking and dragging. Okay, so I'll make 4 different ones. Okay, so the one on the left, let's go back into AccuPOSE. So the one on the left, let's start with this one here, where we have both translation and rotation control point active. Okay, now I'm going to take my character's right leg here, and we're going to move it up in front of him. Okay, you'll notice that the arms will come out to balance himself. All right, so he's balancing himself. Okay, but he's not rotating, and he's not translating unless we move it forward, and that's just human eye can't play there. But you can see here, basically just forward, like doing like a Karate Kid, getting ready for the Karate Kid kick, you know, for those of you who are old enough to remember that one. All right. So it's not moving to the side. It's not rotating, anything like that. Let's take a look at this next guy here. And for this next guy, let's only have rotation control on. Or actually, let's only have translation control on. So this means AI is free to rotate the hip, okay? But it's not free to move the hip, okay? So you can see here, if we take the right foot again, and we move it up like this, now we'll have some rotation, okay? It'll automatically rotate to the side. Okay, so that's AI interpreting how, you know, we want this character to move. All right, so it's not changing the position of the hip, which is a translation, but it's changing the rotation. So it's very important to understand control points, which is why I'm going through this. Okay, so he rotates, but he doesn't move the hip. Okay, let's have this next guy here with only translation on, but not rotation. Okay, and this one's going to be similar to the first one. Okay, so he doesn't rotate unless we move it. Okay, or sorry, no, here we have, he doesn't move, but he can rotate. Did we do that for the last one? Yeah, we did the same one. Okay, sorry. That one is translation, and this one we're going to put the rotation lock on only. Okay, there we go. Sorry if that caused confusion. But this one, it'll be similar, like I said, to the first one, but he can move forward. He moves forward more voluntarily, and that means the AI is moving him forward. So if you can tell, the first guy, his position is further back, his head is further back. With this one, he goes further forward, all right? And that's AI interpreting, you know, we have control over the movement. Yeah, okay, so he moves forward a little bit more. All right, so that's the difference between the first and the third one. With this one, let's have no control, okay? So let's give control completely over to AI, which means there's no control points active on that hip there. And then if we move our right leg here, you can see, whoa, it kind of does a lot of weird, funky things. You know, we can move it. He twists even more, okay? And he moves forward even more, okay? So we can really, this one is kind of, when AI has complete control, it'll just kind of, you know, do all kinds of funky things. We can rotate it to the side. He'll go down like this, all right? You know, it's just trying to figure out, you know, what is this user trying to do? He's messing with me here, all right? Okay, so that's the basics of control points there. Hopefully that's clear. We'll have some more examples as we run through this, but I'm going to delete these other guys that we don't need. And we can talk about locks later. We don't need to worry about that right now. The first demo I'm going to show here, we need to get through these things really quick. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a pose preset basic stand. So one important thing to note as well is with each different pose preset has different control points active based on that template. So for example, if I have basic stand and I go to control panel, it only has the hip and the ankles active, okay? There's no other control points on the body. So this basically allows us to do any pose that we want to have that we generally want the feet planted. This is the one you want to choose. You want to start off with a basic stand pose preset. And I'll show you a couple examples of that. Whereas if I have something like crawl, for example, and I go to control points, oh, that one also has the same thing. Let's try and find something that doesn't. Lie on the side, maybe. Okay, so lie on the side. This one is interesting because it doesn't have the ankle control points active. Okay, it only has the hip control point active. So if we, for example, take our hip and we rotate it, we can rotate it to the side. So he'll lie on his back like this, lie prone on the lie on his back like that, and then rotate to the side. So you'll see the ankles are moving. Okay, they're moving from side to side. And that's because AI is interpreting everything. And that's really the power of AccuPOSE. It basically just kind of predicts what you want to do based on, how you're rotating or moving your character. If I, move up and down, we can move our character. We'll talk about that in just a moment here. But let's go ahead and start with another pose preset. I just want to show you that really quick. Basic stand. Okay, now, the first thing I want to do is talk about a walk cycle, like I mentioned, because walk cycles, people always want to know about walk cycles. So let's go ahead and there's actually a walk cycle that is included in the core training model. And it's at the very bottom here. You can see there's basic walk 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are steps. Okay. So this is kind of an interesting way to do things. If I click on basic walk, or if I double click on basic walk 1, it's going to start my walk. Okay. And then I go down maybe like 20 frames. I'll do it a little bit slower just to, for ease of people to see a little more clear. Let's make sure my timeline is okay. All right. And after basic walk 1, I'm going to apply basic walk 2. Okay, after about 20 frames, I'll apply basic walk 2. Now, here's the difference. If you want like a in-place motion where the character, like for a video game, for example, you generally want your character to run in place. You don't want the route to be changed. This is for, people with video game designer knowledge. I'll show you that example first. So if I just click on basic walk 2, go to frame like 40, for example, basic walk 3, go to frame 60, basic walk 4, and to frame 80, we'll go to basic walk 1 again. Okay, so that completes our basic walk loop. So you'll see here, 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step. Okay, that's your and it's basically, you can see he's staying in place, right? He's not moving. He's staying at the scene root, which is very important. Like this. Okay, so let's control Z all those. And what if I wanted my character to actually move forward? Now the way you do that is make sure you know which leg is planted. Okay, so right now the left leg is planted. Go to frame 20. And now before we apply basic walk 2, we want to go up here to pose alignment. Okay, pose alignment, and we want our part and position aligned to the previous keyframe. We want to be aligned to the left foot. Okay, because that's the one that's planted. So if we have it aligned to the left foot, and now we click basic walk 2, it's going to use that left foot as the reference for where your the previous keyframe is planted. So now he's going to move like this. He's actually going to move forward, not forward yet, a little bit forward, but then we go to frame 40, and we're still going to use the left foot as the reference point, as the part and position selection here, because he's still planted on the left foot, and go to basic walk 3. Okay, so now we have this step forward. He's actually physically stepping forward in the environment. Okay, now his right foot is planted. So what do we do now? For the next one, 60, we change this from the left foot to the right foot. You can change right toe, whatever. Right toe is, some people use right toe. The results vary. And now we go basic walk 3. Okay, did we already apply that? Oh, we did. Wait, what are we on right now? Basic walk 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, so we need to go 4. I can count, I swear. All right, so 4. Now he goes forward like this. And once again, basic walk 1, but make sure I frame 1. Same thing on the right foot. So now the right foot is planted, but we go back to basic walk 1. Okay, so now he actually goes forward 2 steps. 1 step, 2 step. So he goes forward in the scene. And it blends so easily, right? Like it's just, there you go. Now it looks quite robotic, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One reason here is, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but one reason is the timing, okay? So generally when you're walking, you're not walking like, zero point 0.5 seconds, 0.5 seconds, 0.5 seconds per step. A lot of the time, what I try to do is, for example, sorry, I just Control Z everything there. Let's go for our first step, for example. I'm just going to use root for ease of use here. So 20 frame 20. Let's apply basic walk 2. So what I find is like when the legs are crossing each other, like in this position here, it takes a little bit longer. So what I tend to do is when they're crossing each other, I tend to do like 15 frames, for example, or sorry, 25 frames instead of 20 frames. So then I apply the basic walk 3. And then this one here, since it's taking the step, like when you're moving your legs together, it's faster than when they're kind of crossing. If that explains it well, I hope so. But then for the example, the next one, 45, we're gonna go 65. Yep. 65, and then we're going to apply basic walk 4. So there's going to be a little bit of disparity between the steps here. So here, and then it takes a little bit longer, and then here to here is a little bit shorter, and then here to here, so 65, 75, 85, 90, and then we're going to apply basic walk 1 again. Okay, so you'll see here, and if we play that back, that looks a lot more natural than it did before. I don't know if I played it back enough times for you to see the timing, but just so you know, generally I like to do this sort of thing. Okay, so we have our basic 2 steps there. Now what I can do is I can just go ahead and copy this. I'm going to copy this clip and I'm going to paste it. I'm going to show you how to modify the walk cycle. So I'm just going to copy and paste. Right? Paste. We can actually just loop this since it's in place. There's no root change. Let's paste this a few times. Make sure we're at the right frame there. Okay, good. Okay, so we have a 4-step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that'll be fine. Now for ease of use, for simplicity here, I'm going to select all these clips. I'm going to merge them together. Okay. Should have merged all of them. Oh, right. I have my stupid keyboard has, anyways. Right. So, okay, we have that and we can just bake the clip if we want. We don't have to bake the clip, but actually I won't bake the clip because we don't need to. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is do some motion layer editing. Okay. So let's close down AccuPOSE for now. And we are going to, oh, we have too many layers here. Let's just bake this. What are you doing here? All right, flatten motion clip in iClone, right? Flatten all layers. There we go. You can see our animation layer down here. I'm not sure if you noticed that. Before we had all these different animation layers. Basically, I'm just going to bake them all. So to keep things simple, flatten all layers, and it goes down to your base layer and your base motion. All right. So if you want to modify this walk cycle, for example, what you can do is just go ahead. Oh, you know what? Let's just focus on 1 for now. I'm going to Control Z all this. Sorry. Let's just focus on this 1 for now. Okay, this 1 clip, because I don't want to do the modifications for all the steps. So what we're going to do now is we're going to modify this walk a little bit. And the way I'm going to do that is create a new layer here in our animation layer tool. And we'll call this one robot. Okay. And the reason I'm calling it robot is because at each step here, I'm going to modify the step of the character. So with this robot layer active, let's go up into our edit motion layer tool here. Just get my face over here out of the way. Edit motion layer tool. And at each step, I'm going to, where he crosses, I'm going to bring his body down. Okay, just the root body or the hip bone. We're going to bring it down. Okay, you can see that creates a key in the motion layer tool or motion layer track there. And then up here, we're going to go up here to this frame and then just reset it back to normal. And then as he crosses again, we're going to bring their body down once again, like this. So what that creates is it goes like, and then back here to this frame is going to be back to normal. Okay, so I'm not sure if you've seen like those Boston Robotics sort of like, robots, the way they walk. It's like they go down, up, like that. It's kind of weird, but I guess it's for balance. Okay, so now we can do, we have that. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but pretty cool. And then what we can do is we can just, add on to that if we want. Let's have, maybe we have a robot with a little bit of swagger. So what we can do now is we can go add another layer. We'll call this one, I don't know, swagger. Okay. And with this one, so now we're not going to be modifying any of the previous layers. We're only going to be modifying the swagger layer. So maybe, for example, here, first frame, he rotates to the side. So we're going to use the hip rotation here. Again, E hotkey. Okay, like that. He's going to swagger to the left and then to the right. Okay, don't make it too extreme, but actually, let's do it at a different timing. Let's start at frame 1. Frame 1 will be to the left. There we go. And then left to the right at this frame. And then back to the left. Okay, so again, we're just making a walking loop here. So, and you can copy and paste those keyframes as well. It doesn't really matter. So, okay, so now we have them kind of go like, oh, guess who's coming to town? All right. And then again, we can bake that clip if we want to. We don't really need to. We can just Control C and Control V it. And that swagger will continue. You will continue to swagger. Let's do it a few times. Okay, so then we have this. Wow, look who's coming to town. It clips because I didn't copy and paste the keyframes from the first to the last one. We should probably do that. Copy and make sure it's exactly the same. Paste. There we go. There we go. That'll be the same. We can loop it. Oh, need to blend it a little bit. So let's paste that. And then let's blend it a little bit like that. So you see if you blend it a little bit, smooths that out. All right, so you have to like kind of blend each one. Let's do that same thing again. Let's paste it maybe here. All right, so let's have a few steps like this. Wow. All right. Anyways, the timing's not perfect, but let's go ahead and work with that. So I'm going to just basically select all of these clips right now. Control, sorry. And right click. And basically, you can just basically select collection range by selection. That's going to open up your collect clip track here. Right click and add motion to library. And then we'll call this demo walk webinar. Okay, and save that. And then we can just go ahead and, bring in any other old character. I don't know. Maybe Kevin. Let's have Kevin strolling in his underwear. Or swaggering, swaying, pimp walking, whatever in his underwear. Let's go to our desktop here. The sun's on my screen right now, so it's a little hard to see. Demo walk webinar. Make sure we're at frame 1. And we'll apply it. We'll see how it looks on Kevin here. It's gonna look a little weird on him. But again, this is just for fun, right? So there you go. There's Kevin with his swagga wad. Okay, anyways, I just want to like, demonstrate kind of how you can add layers onto things, and it looks kind of cool. It's a lot of fun to do, and you know, you can modify your. I mean, this is just basically using a single AccuPOSE loop there. And again, you can do the manual walking. I kind of wanted to show the manual walking, but I don't think we'll have time for it. Maybe I'll have time at the end of the webinar, but I wanted to get through a couple other scenarios as well. We're going to give our demo robot here a good workout. We're going to make him do some push-ups and sit-ups, as well as have him sit down and rest afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few examples. So let's just delete Kevin here, using the core bundle, or the core training model rather. Okay, so I'm just going to right-click on my character. Why is it not allowing me to right-click? Gosh, got to move my sorry, I got to move my laptop screen now. I can't see it. I can't see Jack. Something else is open. All right, we'll just start a new project, and we'll bring him in again. The motion dummy, by the way, is in your free characters bundle here. All right, so let's go to AccuPOSE, and let's once again apply the basic stand. Okay, so let's do sit-ups first. Those are pretty easy to do, generally. So if you take your character here and you let's go to control panel now, and you can see again we have the control points on the legs and the hip. Okay, if I go ahead and bring him down like this, you can see we can have him in a seated pose like that. Pretty cool. If we bring him forward, bring the hips forward, he goes to a kneel position. Okay, he'll crouch his toes. You can see his toes will kind of crunch like that, and then they'll slip over like that. And you know, you don't want to make it too extreme, but we'll have him sit down like this. Right? I think he's seated. Okay. So pretty cool, right? Just like naturally goes into a pose like that. That's cool enough by itself. And then we can rotate the hip and have him like lie down like that. And you'll see he'll just kind of go into a pose like this, right? I think that's okay. We don't need an orthographic view, but what I can do here, if I want to bring the hands back further, is I can take, you know, both my hands, select both control points and W, and bring them back like this. Okay, you can also mirror as well if you want, but okay, get them into sort of the right position, bring them closer together. All right, that works. Okay, that's decent enough sit-up position. Okay, now if I want my character to do a sit-up, you know, it's not too difficult to do. And notice when I selected those hands that it automatically adds the transform control point on those hands. Just be aware of that, okay? So if you automatically move them, it's going to basically automatically go to your manual control of the translation. So good thing to be aware of. Okay, now if I want to do a sit-up, select my character's chest. We can rotate it upwards, or move it upwards rather. And you'll see, of course, the hands, since the translation control point is on, the hands are remaining in place. That's something we don't want. That's no bueno. All right, so let's go ahead and we can select those hands and deselect the control point for the hands there. Now if I select the chest and move it up, boom, all right, we're doing the sit-up. But the hip's kind of moving, right? We don't really want the hip to move. There's a couple of ways we can, you know, we can do this. Woo, wow. All right. But if we don't want the hip point to move, we want it to be stationary, we can select that hip again. And you can see it's under manual control, but we can also lock it. Okay. So if we lock the hip position, that means it won't change at all. So we do this now. Now the hip position is locked. And that's the difference between control points and locking, is locking doesn't care about your human IK, your puny human IK. It just locks everything. Okay. So if we don't want the hip to be moving, we just lock it. All right. So now he's doing sit-ups. Boom. But his hands are going forward, and that's kind of cheating when it comes to doing sit-ups, right? So you want his hands to be, you know, remain on the back of his head. We don't want him to be, you know, moving the hands forward. And again, that's the AI control in place right there. Even if we take both hands and we, again, if we use translation and lock them, they're going to be locked in place. So they're going to like remain behind, like we saw before. Okay. So that's not what we want. So let's take the hands, take off those control points. And here we're going to use our trusty little friend called Reach Target. Go to our motion animation tab up there. Put my face over here. You can use Edit Reach Target. All right. So edit Reach Target, for those of you who are not aware, you can basically constrain any part of the body, any of these control points. These aren't control points, any of these reach points, target points, whatever, constraint points. You can constrain them to anything. Okay, so if I take this, my character's left hand and select target here, let's keep it targeted to the head. Okay, let's make sure we use this one. Select target and keep current pose. That's very important. Okay, that means the pose will not change. The position will not change. And do the same thing for the other one. Okay, so now these are both constrained to the head. Okay, and they're not going to move from the head. Wherever the head moves, the hands are going to follow. So let's try that again. Let's go into AccuPOSE once again. Let's take our chest and let's bring our chest up again. Now we're talking. All right. So now we have a pretty good sit-up. Right? Cool. We can have them do as many sit-ups as we want. All right. But let's go ahead and create an actual sit-up animation. Now to do that, depends on how long you want him to do the sit-up for. Maybe he goes for 40 frames, 40 whatever frames. Enter in 40 manually. And we'll have him go up like this. Right, there's our first sit-up. You can see it creates that clip in the motion track. All right, now if we want to go back down, it's pretty easy. All we got to do is copy that motion clip, Control-C, again, I'm just doing here, and paste it. Okay, but if we do that, he's going to do something like this. He's going to go up and jerk back again like this. He's going to go whoop, boop, like that. So what we can just do is we can actually right-click on this clip and reverse it. Okay, so then what happens if we have this? Looks like a good sit-up to me. All right, so we have a sit-up. And then we can, merge those if we want to. We don't need to, but we can merge them. And then we can make sure we loop it. There we go. We can have him do as many sit-ups as we want. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, so it's super easy to, with AccuPOSE to do those sort of things. I really enjoy doing it, and it's kind of fun. So you have your sit-ups, and you can just do as many as you want. You can apply that to any character. You can see about your motion like I did with the walk cycle. And yeah, pretty fun stuff. And that's all just from the basic stand pose. All right, so let's try another one. Let's try sit-ups, and these are going to use different constraints. Let's bring them back into the pose preset of the basic stand. Where'd my arms go? Oh, they have, see, the arms still have the reach constraint on them. So yeah, you want to take that reach constraint off. You can, oops, you can do that by, it's not allowing me to right click on, remove reach dummies here. Right clicking on your character and selecting remove reach dummies, but make sure we do that at frame 1. Okay, so now if we go into AccuPOSE, basic stand, what the gosh darn it. I'm not sure why that didn't work. It should work. let's just do the simple thing and apply another character to the scene. Okay, this guy doesn't have any reach dummies on him, hopefully. They don't come preloaded. Okay, so this time we're going to do a push-up. Now for the push-ups, I'm going to use a different pose preset to start, and this is the prone on elbows, all right? And the reason I'm selecting this one, if we choose prone, for example, go to control panel, control points, same as the basic stand one. If we go to prone on elbows right here, control panel, same thing. But what we can do, this one's kind of easier to start with. And I like this one because what I can do is I can immediately take the hip and I can move it back like this and into the position like this. Okay, and our toe constraints right there. We want to kind of lock the heels in place. All right, so because your push-up, you're kind of generally on your toes, and we can move those toes later, but we'll just kind of work with this for now. And I want to lock those heels in place. I'm going to select both heels and lock them. lock their translation. All right. Now what's going to happen is if I move my chest forward, those heels are going to stay in place. All right. Until we stretch too far and he's going to stay like this. So there we go. Heels kind of stay in place right there. We got that going on. His hip's a little high. You know, you can't cheat when you're doing those push-ups, right? So you got to move the hip down a little bit. And we'll take both hands and we'll slide those a little bit further back. That looks like a good push-up position, I think. You know, I'm no physio or trainer, but there you go. We'll start with that. And you can see right now that since I moved those hands, they are automatically gone to like manual control, okay, for the translation. All right. So now if I take the chest and move it up and down, whoop, right? He's moving he's like kissing the ground, but his hips aren't moving. All right. We want his hips to move, obviously. So let's take the hip controller there and let's remove rotation and translation. And then we take the hip down. Now it's going to go like this. All right. What if we take, I think maybe it's, if we undo that and we change the hip to only rotation control, that might help a little bit with avoiding the knee bending there. Okay, that's good. All right, that's good. I think we're okay with that. So there's your push-up right there. And again, you can do the same thing with the push-ups. Okay, the hands here as well. Let's make sure the hands are locked in position. We don't want those to be moved. We don't want the rotation for the hands. Let's put the rotation on as well. Rotation control for the hands. And then like this. There we go. So now you can see that before the fingers were kind of coming up. Now we have a bit of a better example. All right. And if the knees are kind of bending as well. So if we want a completely stiff body, we can select the knees and only have control over the knees there. Put manual control over the knees. And then we do this. Oh, that didn't work. I want to make sure that I think my screen again. The sun is kind of changing angle as we move along here, so I'm kind of like trying to look at a dark screen here. We're going to be rotating through my room, I think, as the webinar goes on here. But yeah, I think to get those knees less bent, we can probably move the ankles a little bit further back. Let's just work with that. I have other things to get to, but we can probably come back to the push-up. You know, not perfectionist. You know, I'll accept a little bit of knee bending. I think possibly if we move the hands back a little bit more, that might help as well. Again, a lot of it's controlled by AI, so or maybe forward a bit more. And you can have fun messing around with this and you know, seeing what works the best. But yeah, we'll work with that. Okay, there's your push-up. And again, you don't need to, you can just, you know, loop that just like I did with the sit-up. We can do the same thing. So we can go to like frame 40 and 41 or whatever. Let's do 40 just to keep it even. And go down. And then let's loop that. Zoop, paste there. So we have this, push up, oh, and reverse, of course. There it is. So there's our push up. Now, it seems really uniform. So what you can do is you can do something like a time warp. You can like right click on the clip and go into time warp. And you can do something like ease in, ease out, or ease out, for example. And then for this one, we can do ease in, time warp, ease in. Because it's harder going up than it is going down, right? So, all right. Gives us a bit more realism to our motion there. We can copy and paste both of those. So we can see it a few times in a row. There you go. All right, good enough for me. All right. Now that this guy has done his workout, what we're going to do next, let me see here. We got next up on the board. Let's do the okay, we're going to do two more things, two more scenarios. We're going to do standing to sitting standing to lying down, and then we're going to do a little bit of mocap correction, and I'm going to show you how to add AccuPoses into your motion that you already have set up. So the next one shouldn't take long. This is just standing up to sitting down. I kind of just based this on scenarios that I thought would be, useful for most people. So let's remove I want to remove animation, remove object animation there. Okay, so let's do this one here. Standing to seating using AccuPose. So this is super simple. We can just use 3 simple pose presets and adjust the timing really quickly. So basic stand is going to be our first one. And from a stand, we can go down to like a kneeling position. So generally, if you look at yourself, if you're in a standing position, you're going to go down to like sitting on the ground. You're first going to kind of start to go to sort of a kneeling position before you sit on the ground. So there's a couple of presets for that. The next one we'll do is so it's maybe frame 60 or something like that. That'll be fine. There's a couple here that you can use. There's like all these squats. Let's just use the squat arm on knee one here. Okay. So if we go to frame 60 and do this, you'll see that we have, I'll kind of go down like that. And naturally, you can adjust the timing of that. Maybe something like a time warp, something like I think an ease out probably would work on this one, right? There you go. Yeah, he kind of goes a little bit slower as he crouches down there. And then from there, what you want to do is go to frame, I don't know, how long does it take to go to a squat position to a seated position? We'll say 60 frames. And then you want to just go ahead and double click on the next one. You can see there's a few presets here. So again, with this one, the left knee is up. Okay, make sure realize the left knee is up there. And there's a seated one where the left knee is up. Sit, ground, knee up. All right, like this. So he sits down like this. So from here to here. All right. All right. So that's how easy it is to do that. And I'm going to make some edit motion layer adjustments here to make it the timing a bit less uniform because it looks unnatural. So let's go to frame, I don't know, 200. And then we'll have him lying down. Right? So lie down with you're just lying down on the ground, lying down to sleep. Like this. All right. So then from here, he'll just go like that and lie down on the ground. So we have down here and lying down on the ground. It looks okay, not bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of modifications here just to kind of show you how things can get a little bit better. So between here, as well, I wanted to mention as well that there is an actual track called AccuPOSE here now. Okay. Okay, so this AccuPOSE track, you can see there's a keyframe for all the AccuPOSE pose changes we made. Each AccuPOSE keyframe here will basically contain all of the data in your control panel. All the data, including control points, locks, and everything like that. It's going to contain all that data. So if you change the locks at each one of these points or whatever, change the control points, it's going to store that information on each one of these AccuPOSE keyframes. And if you want more information about that later, I'm more than happy to provide it. And there's also presets here that I can go through if you need, but I'm just going to give you some more practical scenarios that how I would do things. Okay, so from the kneeling position here to the seated position, like I mentioned, I feel it's a bit too smooth, a bit too uniform. So we have this right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to modify myself using the Edit Motion Layer tool. So let's close down AccuPOSE for now. Edit Motion Layer tool. All right. And what I'm going to do here, generally what you want to do is click Reset. Oh, dang it. Not reset yet. We want to go ahead and set a key. Okay. And we're going to set a key for the entire body. Okay. At the same keyframe here as the pose change. Okay. And that will set a keyframe in our motion layer track. And then here, what I'm going to do is generally, your butt's going to go down before your legs splay out. Okay, when you're seated, unless you're sitting in a weird way. So let's have our before our legs splay out like this. Maybe at this point here, I want the butt to his rear end, abdomen, whatever you want to call it, to already be touching the ground at this point here. So let's move that down like this. All right. So it's going to sit down a little bit faster, and you can see that adds a motion layer clip there, or motion layer track, keyframe. All right. So now we have this. But now we have the weird kind of splaying of the right leg there. I'm not sure if you can notice that, but it's kind of behind the character. Now, we could easily fix this by, moving it forward like that, whatever. Um, that would be kind of, the easy way to do it. We could have him move further back, and that's fine. That's fine. That works okay. And I think that, that's a fine fix. Another thing you can do is, actually, I'll show this to you a bit later. We'll just do these changes first using the Edit Motion Layer tool. And maybe I want my left leg less to be, the right leg can slide forward, but I don't want the right leg to be sliding forward as much. Okay. And what we can do is we can use a temporary reach target to keep that left leg kind of planted at that point. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that with the edit reach target enabled. Let's keep our abdomen and the left leg locked in place. It's a little bit long because they slide forward, but and it looks natural enough, but you can always, modify it further. So let's go ahead at this point here, as the left leg and the left and the abdomen are seated there. Let's lock the let's create a dummy for the left leg there, or left ankle rather, I should say. Okay. Okay, you can see it has an O there. When you create a dummy, it basically just creates a reach target lock at that point. All right, and we'll do the same thing for the abdomen there. Select create dummy. Okay. I have done